business, Jeff.
Morning, Amar.
Good morning. Are you there? Is everyone there? Was trying to work out whether, um, yeah, whether everyone was there or not, um, which is interesting. But anyway, we're here. It's Friday. Sun's shining. It's incredibly cold though, isn't it?
Um, I felt it was colder last night, Amar. I was in London for the day, went,
Right.
got back, got on the train, and then got off the train, and there was two different temperatures. So I think last
Really?
night was you could feel, oh God, we're entering kind of autumn and the weather's turned for sure. But this morning I
Yeah.
didn't think it was too bad.
Hmm, fair enough. Yeah, it's certainly winter's coming, as they would say. But anyway, let's kick off. You're listening to Amar and
Jaff,
live on our weekly radio show.
and each week we'll try and bring some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, promote the wider community.
And we'll be talking shop, quite literally, not just corner shops, whether you're looking to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can help. We can help. And yeah. So here we are. How's it going, Jeff? Feel as if we haven't seen each other for some
Ooh,
time.
yes, it's pressure point for me at the moment. Million things going on, and we're at a critical stage of a build, and yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy trying to coordinate 1,000 men. It's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. It isn't. Um, so yeah. Anyway, let's find out what we have in store for our wonderful listeners. I've definitely got Chris Black coming on, our longtime supporter from RBC, and yeah, there's a whole range of exciting things going on right now. Um, and yeah, it's the ABC Awards next week, Jeff.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it's great. It's it grows years on year. The finalists, I don't think, which is a real we'll find the finalists is what we'll do, because I think it's important that we talk about them. As in on the show. I know that we've got it here, so let me just briefly promote this. So it is the 11th of October, just, and here we are, right here on Spice FM. And just headline survey indicates growth surge in Northeast private sector economy. Growth in the Northeast private sector accelerated in September with hiring activity reaching its highest in 3 years. This was the NatWest growth tracker. Just funny, isn't it, Jeff, if you think about it? Like, as in, because I'm talking to businesses and they're really, really worried. They're not recruiting. There's a lot of like uncertainty with tax and all of those type of things. But then someone publishes a survey that contradicts that.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that, and totally with you. I'm totally with you on that. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I think it's contrary to what the reality is. I think
Mm.
um, you could they can make the statistics as they wish in some ways because every statistic will tell a tale, and it's what tale you want to tell to your the broader network, I guess. And for me, and like you say, Emma, when I'm speaking to the real business people on the ground,
Mm.
the story is different to what they're saying.
Hmm. And that is the challenge with statistics and things like that. Anyway, I love talking up our wonderful northeast, and uh, I think there's some positivity. I mean, statistically though, new business increased for the sixth consecutive month, making the region one of the fastest growing in the UK. So these are new businesses starting, which I think is a wonderful thing. The challenge is you can ramp up the top of the funnel, but unless you continue scaling and such like that, it can become incredibly painful. Other news: five Northeast universities launch partnership to boost economy and accessibility, collaboration for growth, making education accessible, unified impact, proven success, and fostering inclusion is their approach. And then finally, the mayor announces £17 million skills boost for the Northeast. So new skills bootcamp is happening, focusing on marketing, cybersecurity, low carbon, flexible learning. The mayor's vision uh, highlighted this as part of a broader plan to unlock opportunity, guaranteed career support, and supporting growth sectors. So some exciting things going on more broadly, Jeff. I think. Are you there?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just listening in.
All right, I can't see you. Have you turned your camera off?
Um, I'm still here. I'm not sure what I've done, to be honest. Hold on.
All right, is there a line across your camera? Because I can't see you.
Um,
So if you've got your camera icon, you must have pushed a button and turned it off. Because I'm now currently just seeing myself.
so what do I need to do here then?
Can you see video anywhere? A little sign that says video. And this is live tech support on air, is what it is. But can you see the video icon? You'll have to keep talking whilst you're
Right, well,
navigating this.
I'm here. I'm here anyway. It's probably best not to see us today. So I'm here. I'm listening. I can hear everything. So
Yeah, but it just
I don't know
looks a
what I've
very
done.
peculiar show when and people are watching it, because we get lots of people watching our show as well, and all they can see is me talking to myself, is what it
Um,
looks like.
it's saying that the
Have you,
video,
have you got a video button or
but
not?
it's saying it's stopped.
All right, well, start it.
Um,
That's a thing you can do. There's a there is a button, so obviously you must have been getting a call or getting something that's um, done this. Um, um, but
can I go off and come back in? Well, that might be better.
yeah, well,
Oh,
I'll keep
there
talking.
you go.
Try that,
No,
and
I
we'll
think
do
there
that.
you go. There you go. I'm
Uh,
back.
Oh, there you go. See, you turned it on. Woo! Because I was trying to see if I had the button on my phone as well. Anyway, Jeff, what's going on in the world in the city centre? Is it starting to get like
Um,
ready
I
for
think
Christmas and
I think
things? Or-
there's more momentum in the businesses. I think from what I see. Obviously, you've had all the students that have come back. First years probably came early mid September, and then followed by the rest. So I think 40-50,000 students do make a difference to the city.
Hmm.
Um, so I think there is that amount, and I'm not seeing the Christmas decorations. I think they're slowly, maybe as they're working on those, they'll probably be coming up soon.
Okay.
Is the city centre a bit livelier? It's really hard to say. I wouldn't say that it is like the previous years.
Okay.
But I think I have been into Phoenix and I had a meeting with the Phoenix management. They are doing really well. But that could be they've done so many great changes to Phoenix, whether it
Mm,
be the cafe Nero, which is done up really beautifully on one of I think it's on the first floors, and it's
mm,
got like a really aged classic feel to a Cafe Nero as opposed to a coffee shop feel. Um,
right.
I think Barber have just opening up a new store or something on those lines in Phoenix, and they've got lots of cool things going on. So they are on a really upward trajectory, and I think in 1 or 2 years' time, Phoenix, which is really important for the city centre, isn't it? It's going to be
Mm,
more towards. It's going to modernize so much. I think it would be as good as Selfridges or Harvey Nichols. It's probably better than Harvey Nichols already as it stands. So I think that's going to be
Phoenix
really,
is. You're talking
yeah,
about Phoenix here.
Phoenix, yeah.
Uh,
So I think yeah, that's going to really help the city centre. But it's a matter of the other businesses. How are they doing? I think hospitality is challenging. I think TGI have just gone into administration. Big,
right.
huge, operator. I think the chains. I think they're not doing as well as what they used to do. It's quite a cool, quirky independence. Probably always going to do a bit better at this moment. But I think this is the busier time of the year, and Christmas is around the corner. December's
Mm.
around the corner, all the Christmas parties and stuff. So I think hospitality will see it through because of just the time of year that it is. Retail, Amar, it's interesting. Retail in the city centre, as opposed to everything that's happening online. Where do things stand with that? What's social situation of people doing? Are they sick of going online? Are they coming into the shops a bit more? I don't really know much about that field, but overall, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, I think it's it's hard, isn't it? It's incredibly hard and it's so volatile. Um, that businesses need to and should be taking a bit of a longer term view, but they are struggling more broadly and generally. So it almost feels as if both businesses and people are living for the here and now type thing because of the volatility. And if you look at global affairs, it's crazy what's going on, and there is a huge risk of war spreading more broadly as well.
hmm yeah. And when you look at macroeconomics and everything that's happening, it is really, really silly to um, invest in something big right now, Amar. Because how are
Yeah,
you supposed to even do anything? Because we live in such a globalized world in that if you let's say you're opening a restaurant,
yeah,
you've ordered some tiles, right? Where are you going to get the tiles from?
yeah,
They have to come from overseas. You have to get something from most of the products are probably from overseas,
yeah.
whether it be cost or whether it be um, a particular style or particular specialism that you want to bring into the country. Everything's
Mm.
going to be stuck at a standstill. And I've even heard stories when I'm speaking to contractors that there's a ship waiting in the harbor to land because there's so much demand for certain products. They're just holding it. They're not gonna, um, they're not gonna unload unless someone gives the best possible offer for a wood merchant. And
Mm.
that's where things are at the moment because they've come through these seas and they've gone through so much pain to get there. Naturally, from their perspective, we know when you're traveling more dangerous waters, when you get to the other end, anything that you have in your ship is worth more value in your mind, right? And that's the kind of stuff
Oh, there
that's
we go.
which is incredible when you want to get something and then you order it and then it comes 4 months later, but they can't honor the price that's been discussed or agreed because of certain economic conditions. And imagine you times that by a little bit more, as you say, if there's something else that kicks off somewhere else, and that whole thing becomes far worse, then we're all going to suffer.
I mean, there's already the ports and the places that the vast majority of the shipping lanes and lines come through have already been impacted with both ships taking alternative routes and also um, flights. You know, there's airspace across the Middle East now that flights are, and Russia, and where, you know, all of these places and spaces. It's just going to add more issues, challenges, and as you say, whether it's tiles or whether it's, you know, transformers, whether it's electrical goods, whatever it is. And sometimes I think we forget that we're an island. So
Mm,
so we're dependent upon air and sea, you know, as in for pretty much everything. And if anything
mm,
happens to airspace or sea space, um, it it will hurt us. I
of
was at a
course.
great event yesterday. Actually, it was really interesting, and the Minister for Business was there, and he was talking about the economy and industry and things like that. And yeah, it was quite interesting. But some of the things he wants, you know, you want fairer pay and introducing these additional legislation. And someone asked us, well, what do you think about it? And I thought, as an SME, it just becomes even more burdensome. And what happens? Yeah, if uh, individuals want that, why is it sort of purely one way? Um,
Mm,
yeah, is part of this. Um, so yeah, it's I find it interesting, to say the least. What's the feedback from your side, Jeff, from a
reference.
business owner?
I think all I can say is when you speak to, well, again, I have to, my interpretation on everything is based on when I'm speaking to my peers, whether it be
Mm,
friends who are accountants or whether it be other businesses when I'm speaking to other suppliers. So obviously we've got our network, and that network is very,
mm,
very intertwined and connected. So you can speak to the wine supplier, for example, or how's things doing, how's biz? And he'd be like, it's absolutely atrocious. It's nowhere near what it needs to be. And businesses that were doing really, really well, they're really, really poor. Um, and you know, you go to a restaurant to dine, and you know that owner of that particular restaurant, and so how's things doing? Oh, it's only me working at this moment in time, and I've got another person that's helping out, or there's another two people because we can't afford to keep them on. So I think the
uh,
biggest thing is um, small businesses feel as though that we feel as though we're getting stifled like constantly,
uh,
and that becomes more and more challenging on a day-to-day basis to try and make ends meet and try and you shouldn't always be there shouldn't be that struggle, because what about when you should be able to um, develop and do well and have some extra, you know, a few quid in the bank so that you can then expand and grow bigger and add to the economy and get the economy rolling. How can you do that when you're stifled and you can't even make ends meet? How are you supposed to grow? I think it's very, very challenging. I think it's going to be interesting. As we say, most years, I think hospitality you may see out the end of this year because it's the busiest period. But what happens in January? I was in London yesterday interviewing um, a chef, and I'm not going to mention the name, but they're from a very, very well-to-do restaurant in Mayfair. And this
mm,
27-year-old chef, a female chef, and you know, and I said, well, why are you looking to leave this particular company? They said, well, they've already said that they've run into economic difficulties, And those that are on work permits, they've told them in advance that, look, we suggest that you take the next 6 months to go and find an alternative job because we don't know what the situation is, but please keep it private because we're telling you because we don't want you to lose your work permit status, so go and find another job. And I said to her, well, why do you think that their businesses? She said, well, when we first opened, it was really, really good. And this is in London, in Mayfair. And then she
Right.
was saying, but at the moment, we're quite we're quite expensive because we do everything organic and everything we see and we cook on site, and even the Turkish delight is made by us, but it's they can't make the ends meet because the customers can't afford what we're offering, and I think that's the reason why the business has gone down to the point where they're going to close it up. Now, I think people are hurting. The costs are so high. It's if once London is not exempt from it, and big operators, massive, great businesses are suffering, it's gonna lead to so many others. So
Yeah, there
things
is that,
are
but arguably you also feel from a business model, businesses scale so rapidly um, that they take on all of these overheads and it's a chicken and egg scenario, isn't it? It's like you scale, you have the exposure, you have the challenges, and anyway, it's yeah, it's interesting, is what it is. Ways of um, businesses and what you'd describe as successful businesses failing.
so I think there's massive challenges, and how do you what the conundrum is? It's simple. Costs have gone up incredibly. So
Mm,
in line with cost going up, you've got to put your costs up. And that's where it all becomes a bit messy
mm,
because how I can give an example of one of our former managers who's bought a sandwich shop, and he still calls for a bit of advice. He thinks I've got the answers to everything. So he would ask, what do I do? And I said, well, he says, but the costs are so expensive. I said, the only way out is for you to put the costs up. He said, well, I put it up by 25 pence, and everyone got really upset. And
so funny.
and that's on a lunch package, right? And
Yeah.
and he said, I'm still struggling. I said, well, you need to put the prices up more because that's your only answer. You've got no way out. He said, but if I do, then no one's going to come. And I said, well, that's the conundrum. So how do you go around that? It's such a difficult one.
Of course it is. And yeah, it's it is certainly challenging is what it is. Um, and it's this vicious cycle, but what's interesting is how um how those that are the haves and those that have not, the divide's growing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's quite prevalent. I mean, people on the other side like yourself and people on the other side like me, the struggles is so
I don't have any
different.
light behind me, Jeff. I don't have these sort of unique two bulbs, like look quite peculiar, feel as if they should be on your chest or something like that. I don't know. As in, I
And I
don't
think,
have this map of the treasure that you found behind me either. It's
yeah,
only you sat there with your rosy, rosy condition, and what you create is your mission and sat there with sort of I can't even afford one of those jackets, never mind two of those jackets that you're wearing.
so I think no, I think that's really again, Amar, that's just so unbalanced, isn't it, as a society that
It's sad.
you have the
It's sad
1%.
that there's people out there worrying about food and like the basics. The basics. It is crazy, crazy that
Yeah.
is
So
happening.
and the elderly as well. I think the way that the elderly are not being looked after, I just find that very disheartening. I just
Mm.
can't fathom how you can take epoxy 300 quid off the elderly group of people that need it the most. What, and you're just going to let them freeze to death? And as a society, we're allowing that to happen in this country. I just can't fathom what on earth
Mm.
they're making these decisions for. I mean, even if if the government decided to make that decision, why did counter not set a GoFundMe page or do something to be able to somehow get monies to these old people who don't have no heating? I don't get it. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. As a society, is that how what we've become? That we don't have any empathy towards the elderly? They're the ones that are the ones that have done everything that they've done to, have their kids and build a society that when it comes to the point where they need the most help, we just don't give it to them.
Yeah.
And the ministers are sat there actually pushing a bill through. It's not like one person's made the decision. It's the entire bloody Houses of Parliament is pushing a bill through based on something so ridiculous like that.
Yeah. Well, you say that. Um, it's uh, it's and part of the challenge right now is quite simply that um, the budget's coming up and everyone's hiding behind that as well.
Well, then Zelensky rocks up and he's like, "Yeah, there you go, mate. You can have 10 billion squid, and keep on fighting." It's just, it's all it doesn't make any sense. Unfortunately, I
Mm.
have to get off to a meeting. Um, gonna have to catch up with you.
Well, we've got Chris Black coming in hopefully shortly, and yeah, and looking forward to him joining us, our once again significant supporter who's constantly and consistently come along and supported ABC. Jaff, you'll be there on Thursday to celebrate the contribution of all of our communities. And it's not just Asian communities either. We've got an incredible lineup of individuals. But yeah, thank you, Jaff. Yeah, you've been listening to
Thanks, Theo.
Amar.
We'll catch up
And
soon.
all right,
Yeah,
take
see you.
care. Bye
Bye.
bye. Yeah, and there's my guest, Jaff, just leaving the building. His beautiful building, wearing beautiful clothes, going to sit in a beautiful car. Um, It is beautiful life, whilst I'm sat here with things peeling off the wall, as you can see. Anyway, gonna have Chris joining us. So let me go back to sharing my screen. I'm gonna sneeze, so forgive me. Bless you and me, and sorry for that amplified sound there for you down the radio as well. So, as the topic of the week, so let's quickly rattle through this prior to Chris joining us. And given the fact that it was Mental Health Day, Awareness Day yesterday, um, here's some facts and figures and consideration. SME challenges. So 61% of SME owners feel overwhelmed, with 48% experiencing mental health struggles, said the FSB, Federation of Small Business. Mental Health UK. Importance of balanced entrepreneurs drive higher productivity, employee retention, and profitability. Key statistics: work-life balance reduces absenteeism by 25% and boosts productivity. Burnout costs the global economy £255 billion annually. That is crazy, crazy. So 45% of SME employees would leave if their company didn't prioritize work-life balance. So maintaining a healthy work-life balance is essential for personal well-being and business success. So 10 ways to maintain work-life balance. 10 ways to maintain that. Set clear boundaries, delegate tasks, use time management tools, prioritize self-care. I mean, how many times as a business owner or a business leader do you go, actually, I'll not do this because I feel too guilty and I better be working. Set realistic goals, learn to say no, automate where possible, involve family and friends, and seek support. I interviewed an incredible lady earlier on this week called Leanne Hunter as part of, well, just it was Mental Health Awareness Week as well. And we talked about the importance of your broader connections, the support that you have and that you should have and you should get. So a problem shared actually can help. And it's okay to not be okay, but it's good to talk. So do consider that. Thinking about the awards, well, the countdown is on. It's all out, and I'm just quite frankly super excited is what I am. But let's just have a look at the let's just have a look at um, the awards and the finalists is what we will do. So let's see if we can find the finalists. And thank you to our sponsors, obviously, and supporters who, Chris Black coming on, Bruin Dolphin, RBC, always a supporter. We've got Handelsbank, we've got Spice FM's award as well, the People's Award, HWI Solutions, SME Centre of Excellence, Newcastle Building Society, Northeast Combined Authority, UMI, Yola, Northern Businesswoman, and Handelsbanken. Great selection of supporters there, and a whole host of others getting involved as well. Where will we find our finalists? So the most inclusive Northeast celebration, and it's interesting. There's a whole range of other people and partners getting involved, from the Grand Hospital, Grand Hotel, even Gosford Park, chai events, Mango Kitchen, and there's a wonderful presentation. Anyway, Chris is here, so let's get Chris on the show. Good morning, Chris.
Hi, Amar. How are you?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, great. Thank you. And let me just, before I forget, let me just get you to grimace at the camera briefly, smile, and beautiful. Thank you for that. Uh, uh, Thanks for dialing in and joining us, Chris. It's always wonderful to have you on our radio show right here on Spice FM. Let's kick off by asking you, and I know you've said this previously, and for our regular listeners, they'll know all about you. But let's kick off with who you are, what you do, and why you do it, please.
So, Amar, I'll start with I'm not an entrepreneur, but my role means day to day, and actually the majority of my clients are owner-managed businesses and entrepreneurs. So my role is I head up the financial planning business within RBC Bruin Dolphin. RBC are actually it's probably the eighth or ninth biggest bank in the world, depending on this morning's share price. So a large organization. So the function I fulfill is effectively running a business within a business. And I help business owners and entrepreneurs with their long-term financial plans and ambitions. So clients from all sorts of walks of life, but the common thread for me is that they're generally entrepreneurs.
Excellent. So you get to know about entrepreneurs, you get to know about business, but more primarily, you get to support them in their most crucial place and space, which is money, right? Isn't it? Is that
we do? We do. I mean, I'll often say to my clients that actually our biggest asset isn't our investment management expertise and our financial planning capabilities, but it's kind of our network and how we can help. And one of the things about being a business that's been in the city for 120 years is just the strength and depth of our network, be that professional services, be that industry, be that different networks, clusters, angel investor syndicates, something you and I were talking about last week. We like to think that we can help our clients, both with our core capabilities, which is, long-term strategic financial planning, but also just on their entrepreneurial journey. And we're absolutely delighted to do that any way we can.
Brilliant. And Chris, tell me, why do you do it? Why do you do? Not why does RBC or whatever it is, but more
well,
why do you?
I've been in the Northeast all of my life. I mean, I've had stints that kind of down in London and out the region, but I like to be a champion for Northeast growth, prosperity, and Northeast business owners, which, let's face it, are the lifeblood of the regional economy, small businesses. And I just see that as the thing that drives my passion in this role is being part of the community in the Northeast and assisting in any way I can.
Yeah, brilliant. And talk me through your career and a little bit of that as well, just to set some context. Chris, did you always want to be what you?
I am. I think I saw the financial advisor that looked after my family sort of meet with different family members, help with financial plans, give them confidence in the future, and put strategies in place. So I've always done this. I've worked for 4 different wealth management businesses. I've spent the last 7 years at RBC Brewin Dolphin. And before that, I spent 10 years at HSBC looking after the more complex clients in that business between Edinburgh and York, so the sort of northern region geographic patch. I've had some specialisms in the past, like professional sports people, lottery winners, but very much the last 10 years, I would say, it's been a real entrepreneur and owner managed business focus.
Good. And I think having that background and that influence and that experience as to knowing what value someone can bring, right?
Yeah.
Because I think just talking very bluntly and openly, Chris, lots of people will be sat there thinking, my gosh, I haven't got that much money in the bank, but why would I need someone to advise me on that? And it's not just money in the bank, is it? It's things like pensions, it's things like assets, it's a range of things. And just like you would go to a doctor or a clinician to get your health checks and whatever else, it's quite useful, isn't it, to sort of just sort of pick up the phone or talk to Chris and sort of go, Chris, I don't know what I don't know, and that's quite a lot where I'm concerned. But I don't know, but actually, you know what? I need to start thinking a little bit more broadly and wisely for me, for my retirement, whatever, whenever that looks like, whether you're going to retire or not, and then for those future generations as well.
I love that analogy. So I love the GP and the health check, because I think that's a really interesting way to think about things. But what I would say is, don't wait till you've got any symptoms before you have that health check. Don't wait until there's a problem. Yeah, but we have lots of clients who will engage us at major life stages. That might be family, it might be bereavement, it might be selling a business or realizing value from an enterprise, which is the common sort of theme within my client base. But I think it's important to not wait until you hit these major milestones in life or in your career, but think about things at an early stage as possible, because that's when small steps and small increments can have, the long-term compounding power of money means that actually starting quite small and modest, even when you're in that position where you think, well, I don't have substantial savings or pensions, but actually that's the point at which formulating a long-term plan can have a really powerful impact, give you that financial security at a later date, and make sure the ambitions for yourself and your family have the best chance of being fulfilled.
Yeah, and so critical point there. Reach out and have a conversation. Um, and then sort of wealth management for SMEs in particular, because entrepreneurs and such like. What financial strategies do you recommend for growing businesses? So businesses that are growing, and just very briefly before I get into a few of these questions that I've got here prepared. Um, this is, I think it's really important. We're not offering any advice regulatory over the waves or in video. And this is just Chris and I having a generic conversation, and everybody's individual circumstances are unique. So just like a doctor wouldn't come on and say, here's what everybody should do, I don't expect Chris to be able to talk to everyone. So on that basis, SME, I'm growing. What type of financial strategies would you recommend?
Yeah, so I mean the sort of financial plans that an entrepreneur might have at various stages throughout their journey can differ clearly, from startup to substantial enterprise looking to exit, or realize value. So when we're talking about that kind of growing business, some of the things that might become important to the business owner are kind of building some financial security outside of their core trading activity. So it might be things like thinking about how to extract some profits, by using things like pension contributions. So you're taking some money off your balance sheet, moving it to yourself and preserving that for retirement. And there's some real tax efficiency around that. It might be protecting yourself against risk. What's the implication for yourself? What's the implication for your co-directors of the death or serious illness of one party? What might also that mean for some of the key people in your business? So we often focus on the business owner, but what about the key people, the key strategic people, the key sales people, the key technical people? What if anything happens to them? So one of the first thing is protecting some of these important assets within your business, and people is a really important consideration. So the insurance for assets and machinery is quite common to find, but actually thinking about the importance of your people, protecting the future prosperity of your business by focusing on people. Beyond that, we'll often talk to people about how they see the future of the business. So if there's potential to realize value from the business at a later date, what's the magic number? What do you need to realize from a transaction to make sure you have lifelong financial security? You can meet all the needs that you have in terms of any liquidity requirements, any philanthropic endeavors you might want to engage in, things like angel investing or buying, the car, that we'll call it the trophy assets, but there might be something that you want to treat yourself to, just to reward yourself for all that hard work during your career. So we'll kind of model this out, and we'll build a roadmap. I've got a phrase that I love to use, which is rehearsing your future. So imagine a really super duper calculator that you can put lots of different scenarios into. You can think about some catastrophes. You can think about different things that might play out in your life. And we can kind of help build this roadmap and this forecast. It's often referred to as financial modeling or cash flow forecasting. But we find that business owners at growth and scale stage can get a lot out of kind of modeling the future like that. So that's, I'd say, one of the key things.
I love that analogy. Sort of that reverse planning. Sort of what does success look like, and then working back from that. And also your point around the trophy element, Chris. All too often we just focus on the pain, and not necessarily the gain. It's almost like, right, yeah, and you need to celebrate those small or big wins or whatever it is, and it's nice to spoil yourself if you can afford to, those that or close to you, particularly if you've worked hard, right? If you put in a
Yeah.
hard slog. Okay, so RBC, eighth biggest bank in the world, great accolade. What does that mean for the Northeast, Chris? What does that mean for us here from your perspective?
Well, we're very much the same, we're very much the same business to a certain extent that we've been for the last 120 years. And for us, it's about serving the community in the Northeast. So the Royal Bank of Canada give us some strength, gives us some additional tools in the toolkit.
Right.
But really, the Newcastle office, we're very much focused on the Northeast and our clients in the Northeast. So we have over 350 staff in Newcastle. We have lots of different programs to help our staff with things like mental health awareness, well-being programs. We support charities in the Northeast. And I think, as you know, we're very well connected with the business community. And that's through a combination of different, through professional services, through industry clusters, and through various different memberships. So I'd say, we're big enough that we've got all the size, the scope to serve any client need, but we're focused enough in the Northeast that we're very much about what we can do for the Northeast and show we're a real important part of the business ecosystem in our region.
Yeah, and not just the business, but the broader, wider community. And you invest quite literally time and effort and support to help it make the region and the north of England a better place. And I don't doubt you do it elsewhere outside of this area, but certainly having seen you firsthand, you and I were down in Harrogate a couple of weeks back with a room filled with women in a hotel. Well, that might sound very peculiar unless I contextualize that.
You need to give more information, I think.
No, I'm going to leave it there. It's being in the news of the world or whatever it was. Anyway, the room filled with women, entrepreneurs, leaders, part of the Lifted project that we have been involved in from the outset.
Yeah.
About trying to address some of the inequalities surrounding investment into female-owned or female-led organizations. Now, statistically, I always question or query where statistics come from and how they are gathered. And I said that on the stage as well. It was saying that women only get 2% of X was actually a study in the US of X amount of businesses exclusive to that area at a particular time in point, right? Or point in timing. So I always go, all right, you can get a statistic to suit any particular argument, both for and against. But despite that, we know, because you can physically see this, that there isn't that many female entrepreneurs. So we need to support that. The second part is then we need to support female entrepreneurs who require investment.
Yeah.
I would always question the facts as they had been stated that female entrepreneurs are far more successful than male entrepreneurs on what basis. And that's not a bias I have. I'm just keen to understand, what are you measuring that on? If it's sort of if it's number of startups or scale ups or whatever that is, then the numbers are always going to be skewed anyway, right? Because if you're doing a direct comparator, it's incredibly challenging.
It is.
Taking a sample size of that is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, when we had the session down in Harrogate, I tried to avoid quoting any data on this, but I mean, my view is that, if there is potential to support more female entrepreneurs, the impact it has in terms of improving UK productivity, improving employment, and improving output, if there's some capacity there that can be released, then we need to get behind that initiative and support it and drive it forward because it benefits everybody. And certainly with that initiative, one of the things I'm seeing that's really positive is the growth in what I would refer to as the transition angel investor. So we have clients who've founded, grown, scaled, and realized value from businesses. And the number of females who've gone through that process and are giving something back by backing female-founded businesses and early-stage female-founded businesses is very encouraging. And not just backing them with capital, but backing them with knowledge, coaching, access to their own personal network, whether that be within the sector specific or within professional services. It's just really encouraging to see what's going on in this space.
And it is, it's brilliant. And, and actually the point wasn't around statistics or questioning what's being said. It was, you done an amazing speech. You delivered something quite passionate and relevant and responsive. And I think, going through the investment journey from SEIS, EIS, and talking through the various considerations was really, really insightful. And I feel as if it's probably something that I'm going to invite you to come along and do at one of our inclusion type events, or sort of inclusive investment type of event, because it's incredibly relevant. I'm just conscious of two things: time and the awards. Chris, you've been a long-term supporter of inclusion, and obviously that's demonstrated through the conversation we've just had around Lifted. But even more broadly, you've supported ABC for a very long time as a not-for-profit social enterprise. Why is that, and what do you get from being involved in the awards?
Well, I mean, the ABC initiative, in terms of what it's doing to bring people together, that inclusivity theme, the theme around helping business owners that drive the regional economy, it's just all the things that we're tuned into as a business, and I'm tuned into personally and trying to advance. So it kind of ticks every box in terms of the themes that we want to be involved with, and we're keen to continue to do so as long as possible. But also, you've mentioned doing some coaching around investment and around sort of empowering people to think more about investment, and that's something we're delighted to do as well. So yeah, the ABC is something we're very passionate about supporting. So thanks again for all the support you've given us in return.
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And actually, I'm off to Saudi in a few weeks' time, and I'll be meeting with the various individuals that we brought here and you kindly hosted, and we're planning some further trips and opportunities. So I know that inclusion, innovation, internationalization, everything features so highly for you. Chris, if someone wants to get in touch, find out more, what can they do?
Yeah, I mean, the quickest way to do it will just be to look on LinkedIn. You can get my bank details. Sorry, not my bank details. my contact details. Otherwise, if anyone contacts you, Amar, if you want to pass on
the latest hits from discussions and chat, bonus and issues, Flash FM 98.8 FM.
Thanks, Amar.
Economy